Welcome to Kay Wood's Quilting for the 90s. Each week, Kay will be joined by another famous designer who will share easy methods for fine quilting and sewing. Quilting for the 90s features guests from throughout the country. Each teaches their specialty to you in this exciting series. Quilting for the 90s with Kay Wood is your source for new and creative ideas. Now, let's join Kay and today's guest.
Welcome to Quilting for the 90s. My special guest today is a friend of mine, Ike Winter. Hi, Ike.
Hi, Kay. I'm just fine.
Ike is a quilter who uses a quilting machine, is that right?
That's correct.
And he's also a field representative for the American Professional Quilting Systems. Ike, let's talk a little bit about you, okay?
All right.
There aren't a lot of men in quilting, are there?
No, not too many.
But we're glad for the ones that are.
I'm glad you like me.
Why, sure. Now, you were telling me earlier that you are in a guild. Where is your guild?
The guild is South Bay, Torrance, California. It's South Bay Quilters Guild.
Okay.
There's 250 members, and I'm the only man in the bunch.
And what do they say about you there?
They say a lot of things. I have been told that I can do no wrong.
You can do no wrong.
That's what I've been
Well,
told. Once or twice I've been told that.
oh, okay. Gee, maybe the rest of you men out there who are watching ought to take Ike up on this and get into a quilting guild. I don't think many men get told that very often, do they?
No.
Now, you have a long history of quilting, don't you?
Yes. I started quilting in the 50s
On a quilting machine?
on a hand-guided frames quilting machine with an old machine.
Okay. Was there any background? I mean, did you just decide one day you were going to be a quilter?
My mom quilted on the same machine in the 40s and early 50s.
Really? There were quilting machines back then?
There sure was. They were real crude compared to today.
Right.
Real crude.
But they still did the job, didn't they?
They did the job. They did it a lot better than hand quilting, put a lot more stitches in the quilt where that they would... I have quilts that I've had for 40 years that have almost been washed out to where they're just rags, and it's quilting's still there.
Okay.
Still there.
Right. And most of the, well, maybe not most, but some of my viewers I know, when we talk about a quilting machine, they think about, oh, the comforters that they see in the store that have the great big stitches. My friend Ami Sims calls those toe hookers. That's not a quilting machine, is it?
Not a quilting machine like I have.
Okay. All right. Because we want it to look pretty much like hand quilting, don't we?
That you strive to make your machine quilting look like high hand quilting is the goal, which sometimes it does.
Okay, you brought a journal with me, and I know your mother kept a journal of her quilting, and you do too.
My mom kept a track of all the quilts she done that many years ago, quilted a whole quilt for $1.
Okay, let's take a look at that journal, because there's a lot of pages in there with what we want to see. Where are we? Toward the back here?
Yep, I'm in the back.
Okay, what do you have here? What's this a list of?
This is a list of all the quilts I've quilted this year. Starts off here. It tells you the date, how big the quilt is, who owns it, what machine I used, and the pattern I put on it. And each line is a quilt that I've quilted.
You've done a little bit more than 3 or 4 quilts, haven't you?
I've done...
what does it say?
Oh, I have to put my glasses on. But pretty close to 200 this year, 175.
And how many do you think you'll do by the end of the year?
I'll get 300 done.
300. Okay. And what do you do with all the quilts? You said that the maker of the quilt was listed in there. Do you quilt for other people?
I quilt for other people, yes.
Okay. And what else? Come on, tell me.
I do a lot of community service work for the guild I'm in. They have a group of ladies that make little quilt tops for babies, for blind children and AIDS babies and homeless mothers' babies, and they bring them to me, and then I quilt them and give them back to them. I've quilted this year 145 quilts, for baby quilts for them this year.
Okay. And what did you tell me about? You've got some more things back here too. What's?
Oh, I make some quilts for the VFWs each year for the wheelchair patients at the Navy Hospital in Long Beach, and I donate them to the local VFW, and then they give them out to the veterans at Christmas time.
What do you do in your spare time, Mike?
I run around the country, have a good time.
That's right. Ike really does that. He he teaches or goes around and demonstrates internationally on the quilting machine. So you must be pretty good.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, we like you, though. Okay, I want to take a look now at the quilt right behind me here, because this is one of the quilts that we pieced. And this was quilted on your quilting machine. You want to tell us a little bit about the stitches?
That's stippling, and it's kind of like what we used to call, when I was learning to quilt, it's an all-over pattern, which just, it means wiggly lines all over the whole quilt, like a jigsaw puzzle. But the stippling today, they've closed it up to where it's real close, and they call it stippling now, which is just another word.
Another word.
Yes. It's a very beautiful job.
Okay, and Ike did not quilt this, but it was quilted on this type of machine. Also, I want to call attention to the fact that the blocks that are green on this quilt are quilted with green thread, which is another option. We can change threads. And the pink squares are quilted with pink thread.
Right.
That's one of my favorites.
I sometimes will change colors of thread 3 or 4 times from one end of the quilt to the other if I'm trying to do something that want to coordinate the thread color with the block or the background. And you just put it on there and pull it through and thread it, and you're going again. So it don't take no time at all.
Right. Okay, this is another quilt that you'll recognize. This was called Woven Strips. This is stippled, right?
Right.
But it's done a little bit differently. I don't know if you can see it from there, Ike, but the green squares...
It's real small stippling, and the pink squares have what I would call an all-over pattern. It's just a larger stippling.
Or more distance between the, between the rows of stitches, or the curve of the stitches. Also, again, in this, the quilting covering the green areas was done with green, and the pink were done with pink. And when you look at the back of the quilt, we're not going to do that right now, but on the back, as you can imagine, you actually see where the squares are, because the stitches not only change color, but they change in density. So
that's right.
Okay. Well, now that we've taken a look at a couple of machine quilts that are mine, machine quilted quilts, let's take a look at the machine that makes this easy to do, right?
Okay.
Okay, let's take just talk about the machine a little bit for the viewers who are not familiar with quilting machines. We've got, over here, we've got a needle.
A needle, and as a needle, and it has an oversized bobbin compared to a regular household machine. And when you go to quilt, you do the same thing with this machine as you do with your household machine. You pick up the thread, just like this, only you don't have the little wheel in the back. You pick up your bottom thread, and then you're ready to quilt. Then you have an on button to turn the machine on, and you can start quilting.
Okay, let's take a look here at the thread. It does have a tension.
Yes, right.
And the thread runs through here, and the cone thread.
Cone.
Is there any special kind of thread you need?
I use cotton wrap polycore, but you can use 100% cotton, and there's a lot of major brands that you can use.
Okay, just a good quality thread?
Good quality, strong thread, yes.
Okay. I think the first thing we want to take a look at is how you're going to do the freehand or the stippling. We've talked about stippling.
Okay.
You want to show us?
All right. Just hold on to the thread, and you have the button to turn it on, and it starts sewing. As soon as you turn the machine on, you start moving it so that you don't break the thread.
Okay, I notice you're just using one hand,
Yes.
but there's two handles.
It's easier for me to just use one. It's from practice, you don't really need to have two hands. The machine is lightweight, and it moves very easily, so you can just move it with just almost 2 fingers like this. And it's really easy to move. And you just get busy doing this, and you just quilt and quilt and quilt till the bobbin runs out, and then you say, oh gosh, I got to make that bobbin again. I got to go fill the bobbin, put another bobbin in.
Okay, the bobbins you told me earlier were disposable, right?
Yes, we have.
And they do hold a lot of thread.
There's the pre-wound bobbin with a real fine nylon thread, and it holds 3 times the thread as a regular wound bobbin if you would wind yourself from a comb. So you can get a lot of quilting done and just with that one bobbin. And the less starts and stops you have, is makes your quilting look much better. If you're making something real fancy and you break the thread or bobbin runs out and you got to start again, why, it's just better to have a long thread on the bottom.
Yeah. I noticed that you're being very careful not to cross over the lines.
Doing my best not to.
Of course, stipple quilting is not supposed to, you're not supposed to cross over the lines.
That's true. Right.
That looks really good. Okay, let's take a look at some of the quilts that you brought that are yours, that have some stippling. Okay, this is a white-on-white quilt. Okay, I think that's the back. Do we want to look at the top? Okay. Okay, you want to tell us about this?
This is a memory quilt of mine. It's number 1000.
What? Okay, you're going to have to explain the 1000.
Well, I got my first quilting machine like these in 1989, and this is the 1000th quilt I've quilted since then.
You're kidding.
And I did this first of the year. I passed 1,200 now and almost to 13, or somewhere close to that anyway. I passed 1,100 and almost to 13.
Okay, and most of this is stippling?
All stippling, and I have little clamshells here. What I did was I just wanted to try all of these little patterns and do it just as long as I wanted to and as much as I wanted. And just turn on the machine and just quilt the same thing until I run out of bobbin. And then I'd put another bobbin in and do that.
That's a new concept in sampler quilts. You know that. To just take a design until you run out of bobbin.
Yeah, and this quilt also has in it number 1000 and has in it a memory of my mom and things that I wanted to put in there, little messages. And I have some pictures of cowboy boots. Right here's a boot, and there's a hand. And in fact, there's two boots, one looking that way and one this way. You have to look around really to see what's in this quilt.
I see a
face right there.
A face.
Yeah, all right.
You're going to show us how you do a face?
Yeah, I can do that.
Whose face is this one?
That's the guy with the hat on.
I wonder who that is. I bet that's you, Ike.
Right.
Show us how you do that.
All right. But you might notice that the machine stopped with the needle up, which makes it easy to move it to where you want somewhere else. And you just move it over and start quilting. I want to make a face. It's easy to make the face if you put a hat first. And then you just make a couple of eyes, a nose, and a mouth. There's your face. Didn't give you...
Okay, and that's sort of a signature of yours, isn't it?
Right.
Your face with Ike written.
Right, I write my name a lot. That's very easy to do. You just, with these machines, you do it with one hand, and after a while you get to where you can just write just about anything you want to. If you want to make a star, you go like this. It's not a very good star, but you can make a star. Just whatever you want to do, you can do.
Now, Ike, I notice here that we have a lot of fabric here, so this would be a really large quilt.
Yes.
What happens if you have a smaller quilt?
You have these things here that you hook on, and you just put the small quilt in the center and hook them on there and stretch it tight, and you quilt the small quilt just like you do a big one.
Oh, okay. So,
Yes.
so it's no problem.
No problem whatsoever, no.
Okay. What about some other kinds of things? What kinds of things have you quilted?
I've quilted, a friend of mine wanted some seat covers for their car. They couldn't make their own, so I quilted the fabric.
What did you put in between? Not
I
a batting?
used thin batting.
Oh,
thin batting.
Okay.
And warm and natural, if I can say that.
Mm-hmm.
And used that for batting. And when I quilted it, I put the kids' names on it and the date and a lot of information so that that car was identified by the seat covers as well as the tag.
What about other home deck things? I mean, what kinds of things would you?
I've quilted several different things. I quilted linings that was used in jackets. And again, I put the children's names. There was another lady I knew. And she had me quilt the fabric, and then she would make the jacket. And
Oh, okay, so the jacket's not cut out. You're
No,
you're
I just
really
quilt the
quilting fabric for
Quilt
her.
the fabric, right.
Great.
And I had one time I quilted a lot of little short feathers. It was about 4 inches long, scattered all around.
These are quilted feathers, I assume,
quilted
not real feathers.
Right, quilted feathers. And then she took that and made a real nice jacket out of it. Had whole cloth, real professional work. And every once in a while I get to do something different.
Right. Could you do like the bed, you know, the head of the bed? You know, sometimes you see them covered with fabric.
Oh, yes, I could do that, yeah. There wouldn't
No
be no problem at all. You just quilt the fabric and then they put that on the headboard.
Oh, okay.
Right? And there's no limit to what the quilting that you do gets used for.
Okay.
I quilt a lot of Waverly fabric that people want to make bedspreads. I don't make the bedspread. I just quilt.
You just get into the quilting.
I just get to quilt them, and then they take them and put the piping and do all the things, and they've got a bedspread that would cost lots and lots of money that for a reasonable price.
Okay, go ahead.
These machines makes it possible for you to have real nice bedding at a affordable price.
Right. What about the batting that the machine can use? Or you can use in the quilts on the machine?
You can use thin batting or thick batting, whatever you like. You can use 100% cotton. You use bonded batting. I use batting that's 1 inch thick and 3/4 inch thick, high loft and low loft. Lots of, I get batting from all places.
Okay.
I don't furnish the batting. I just, they bring me the quilt.
So whatever they have.
Right.
Right. What about something, you know, when we talked about home deck, what about something like a foam?
Yes, you can quilt foam with these too. Yes.
Great.
Right. One facial quilting I did was a lady whose father was in a rest home and in Florida where it's hot, and she didn't want nothing inside, so she had heavy flannel and a little piece top, and I quilted it without nothing inside. I didn't know for sure it would work, but it did come out fine.
You made it work, right?
Yeah, right. I get to experiment in a lot of times where you just not really know for sure if it'll work. But say, let me give it a try, and if it works, well, it's good.
Good for you. Here's another quilt that you brought that I think is great. Is this your quilt?
No, this belongs to a girl named Ruth Dexter.
Okay.
In Taggart, Oregon. And she pieced this top and sent it to me and told me that she wanted a feather in the border and stippling on the rest of it. And so that's what I fixed her up with. I'm kind of proud of this quilt. It's one of the first stippling quilts I did.
You're kidding. This was one of the first.
Yes, it's where I'll do this real fine stippling.
Yeah. Good. I think it's really important to notice that here we have a block that's a solid or almost solid color, looks solid.
Yes.
So the stippling really shows up. But the same stippling is on the piece block.
Right.
But
Didn't show at all.
it's not as important, right? This is the focal point.
This is I think this is a Sisters Oregon block.
I think so.
Yes.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. If not, our viewers will sure let us know about it.
Right? It's in my book somewhere. In there, it's in there someplace.
Okay. Now that we've taken a look at this feather border, now this is a stencil or a pattern or?
This is a freehand quilting.
Freehand.
Right.
You're going to show us how to do it?
Yep, I can do that.
Okay, let me get the quilt out of the way, and you show us how to do a feather.
All
You
right.
can just come right down in here and do it.
Okay. We'll just quilt over there.
Okay.
Just get over there with the quilting machine. I first make a line to run into something, and then I just keep going like this. Oh, I can't do it with that hand. Just make a half a heart on the side of the line till I get back to the starting point.
So this is what's called a continuous line design, right?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that you don't have to start and stop.
Going the wrong way, right? I goofed that one up, Kay.
What?
I goofed that one up. We'll make another one.
You goofed it up? No, you made a new design, right?
I did it. I got to go in the wrong way.
Well, that's when you call it a new design.
Yeah, well, This gives you practice to do it right next time.
Right.
See, this is coming out much better. See how much nicer this one is that other one. What this is, if you can imagine a heart cut in half, and that half a
Okay.
heart is on each side of that
Yeah.
original line. And when you get to the end, you can stop it with anything you want to.
Always have to end with something fancy
Yeah, well,
there.
you got to
Right,
you can't
right.
just turn it off and leave nothing out there, you know. Put something in
Okay,
it.
why don't you come around here and show us some of the other things this machine can do?
All right.
Okay, right here I notice we've got designs.
This is called pattern quilting, and you just have a stylus, and you have it follow a line to create this pattern.
Okay, now over here you were watching the needle.
Right.
When you work over here,
Over here, I just look at the pattern. I look up there once in a while to see if anything's going all right, but most of the time I watch this, and we can take off right where we're at and do some of this
Sure.
if you want to. This is a little heart, and we got a loop. And you can call this a leaf, or you can call this a heart.
whatever you want, right?
I feel good at whatever you want to call it.
Okay,
You just continue that line. Well, I forgot to make all of that heart, didn't I?
okay, but we can see.
All right, it goes this way.
So this is a little bit like trace a design.
Right. And every time you stop, the needle comes up. So that if I was here and wanted to move back to that end, I would push the bottom thread is cut by pushing that button, and then all I have to do is cut my top thread,
Okay.
and I can move back to this end of the quilt.
Okay, so it's always ready to move.
Right.
When you cut it. Okay.
And if I wanted to do that same design on another line,
Okay.
just get over there. Then I just turn it on, and the bottom thread is picked up automatically. The thread cutter cuts it just to the right length
Oh, that's great.
so that you don't have to fool with all those threads underneath. And then you can make the same pattern again.
I think I could do that.
Won't you give it a try?
Well, I tell you, I'm going to, but I want you to show me some channel quilting because we haven't
All
taken a
right.
look at the channel quilting.
All right.
Whereabouts?
Well,
How about right over here?
All right, we'll cut the bottom thread,
And that's just by pushing the button.
pushing the button, and the needle is up, so we don't have to do anything to get the needle up. Move over here, and we tighten down our channel lock.
Your what?
Channel lock is this little set screw there
That does what?
that holds the machine from moving. It keeps it from going this way. You
Okay.
just turn it on and walk right along beside it.
So you're not steering this.
No, you just push it along. You push it with this hand up here. Like this. And when you want to stop, you just push the stop button, the off and on button.
Oh, we've got a stop button. Is that the same as this button here?
That's the thread cutter.
That's the, okay, the thread cutter?
And you don't cut the thread till the needle comes up, right?
Right.
Because you don't want to cut the needle.
No, that wouldn't be too good, but it comes up
It
automatically
comes
when
up
you stop.
automatically,
Yeah.
right? And you push
Okay.
that, cut the bottom thread,
Okay.
and you're ready to move and quilt somewhere else.
Okay, can I try?
Sure.
What do you
You
want
get-
me to do?
We'll move this little bit here, and I'll
Okay.
get you started right down here on this.
Am I going to follow the pattern?
Yeah, you might as well. Do you want to follow the pattern, or you want to go out here and do some freehand?
Oh, I
quilting?
want to do freehand.
Let's go out front. then.
Okay.
All right. You want to
Can I do it from here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me get it started for you.
Okay,
We're
do
just
that.
Okay, you just get a hold of the handle.
Okay. Now, I have never done this before. Well, I think my stippling needs a little bit of practice.
It won't take you long to get onto it.
No, hey, this is real easy.
We have a speed control,
Oh, you had a speed control?
so that if you want to go slow, you can go. You were moving kind of slow, so I just slowed you down. see?
Oh, okay.
How easy that is?
That is real easy. Now, to stop it, we...
I'll just bring it back up to my speed.
Okay.
That's good enough right here. We'll just end that with a couple of hearts. Push the off button and then shift.
Well,
See how?
that's easy, isn't it?
Sure is.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
How much practice do you think it would take to get?
I had a friend of mine come to visit me and stayed a week, and he quilted 7 quilts when he was there. He went home and sent me the money to buy his machine. Now that's how easy it is.
Does that mean that everybody comes to visit you has to make quilts?
No, but it's fun.
Okay.
He had really a fun time. Yeah.
Well, I think this is great. You know, we've taken a look at a lot of the options that a quilting machine can give us,
Yes.
and that's really great. And I want to thank you for coming and for bringing your machine and showing it to us.
Okay, I really had a fine time.
Good. And when people see you at quilt shows, they're going to come up and say, "Hi, Ike, I know you."
Yeah, they probably will.
And thanks so much for being with us.